Hi, this is Carl from Technical Enduro Skills Training School. Today we'll be looking at what tools we carry with us when we do trail riding or when we race. We'll look at a couple of different scenarios and we'll talk to you about what decisions did we make that are scenario based on our level of risk and our level of experience and the sort of stuff that we choose to take with us, whether we're trail riding, whether we're racing. We'll look at three different scenarios today. We'll look at just regular trail riding. You're out in the wild, Wales, English countryside, whatever, with a group of friends, your TRF guys, your clubman guys, just friends out for a ride. It's not about time. It's not about moving as fast as you can. It's not necessarily about saving the most kind of weight. In that scenario, it might be that you just want to really not delay the ride. You've given up a day and you want to get around and do your loop and get back to the cars with no problems. When you're racing, there's different kind of racing, right? There's closed course racing, your hare and hounds, your time cards, your valleys extreme, where you're doing a lap of a certain area. You may take different things with you for that race because you know you have a pitted area where you can leave stuff, you can leave spares, you can leave gloves, you can leave other things there. And then your other races, your multi-day extreme hard enduro events like Red Bull Romaniacs, Route of Africa, etc. You might be navigating a 80 to 100 mile course out to the mountains where there may be a service point, sure, but it's halfway along. You may be 30 miles from anywhere. If you're an expert level pro kind of guy, you might be very confident in your bike skills. You may be willing to take a bit more risk, carry less with you so that you can move faster and use less energy. On the other side of it, you might be a guy that have spent a huge amount of money, £3,000-4,000 to get to Romania, to do the Red Bull Romaniacs, and you want to finish. And so you might be willing to carry a little bit more stuff with you in case some eventuality causes a breakage or something. It's entirely up to you what you decide to carry. This is what we carry, and we'll talk through the decisions that we make and what we carry in the different scenarios. You've got to find what works for you. You've got to put together a list of stuff that is relevant to the particular day or the particular race or the particular scenario that you're going for. So yeah, take from the video what works for you, and we'd love to hear any great ideas you have. We like to learn as well. We certainly don't think that we know it all, so if there's anything that you do that you think is clever, put it in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Okay. Just a quick update on the Enduro Pro seat bag. This is the seat bag fitted to a up to 2019 KTM TPI seat right here. You know, this sort of just slips over, slides into place, and then the seat bolt holds it firmly in place. The problem is on the new 2020 bikes, KTM have changed the seat design, how it fits. You can see, if I bring it a bit closer, you can see that there's a new channel with two new slots. Unfortunately, that channel fits quite close to the tank, so when you slide it in there, it really isn't space for anything else to be in there with it. And so the seat bag in its current form doesn't quite fit on the 2020 seat. I've come up with a temporary solution to the problem. I'll show you what I've done. So all I've done is I've slid the bag on as normal, and I've stapled it using normal seat staples all the way down the edges, and I've just cut out the middle bit. From there, it works absolutely perfectly. The seat is very firm. The seat bag's very firm on the seat. The way that it's held on is just not going to come off. Seat bags are only 20 quid. It's not the end of the world. If you need to replace your seat cover for any reason, undo the staples, restaple it. The material we've used here is really quite strong. Worst case scenario, chuck in the bin, buy another one until we come up with a better solution for the 2020 bikes. We're working on a couple of new things, so watch this space. But in the meantime, if you've got a 2020 bike, you want to use your Enduro Pro seat bag, this is the way to do it. Okay, so what you see in front of you is the full collection of all the tools that we'll be carrying if we go out for a big trail ride with a group of buddies out the mountains. usually a number of guys, usually riding ability vary greatly, so we'll choose to carry more tools than usual, just to keep the ride moving, to make sure that we can deal and handle most eventualities. Last thing you want is for a small little thing to get you stuck in the mountains, ruins everybody's day, and this way you can deal with most eventualities. So what have we got? So what we do is we take a pre-oiled air filter, we roll it up nice and tightly in a Ziploc bag, weighs absolutely nothing. Chuck that in your backpack, don't even know it's there, but you've got it in case you accidentally drown a bike. Small Ziploc bag with just a collection of nuts and bolts and things that you know, you might need. Somebody loses a bolt or a circlip or a hose or something, you've got it. Clutch and brake levers, gear lever. These things do tend to break when bikes are dropped and thrown and so forth, and so handy to have them. If you've got Cycra handguards, it's rare that you'd need these, but you never know, something weird could happen, and so forth. I've broken a gear lever before on a rock. The bike fell over, so that's definitely worthwhile having. Leatherman tool. This is a pretty special Leatherman tool. It's called the Leatherman OHT. OHT stands for one-handed tool. You can access every one of this Leatherman's tools functions with one hand. I usually carry this with me even when I'm racing. In case of an injury, at least, you can still access everything using one hand, and so it's a very useful tool to have. And this is also my pliers for when I deal with the rest of the stuff. Down here, 8, 10, 12, 13 mil spanners. There's a 14 up there that I've modified by cutting the end off. That lives in my Motion Pro chain tool case. We'll talk about that individually. We've got some Allen keys, your standard KTM set here, Torx tools, a clamp, a saw blade, spoke wrench, your standard KTM tool, and a 19 mil socket. We'll talk about that separately and individually. Over here, we'll talk about this little bag on its own. That's our little Save Our Bacon bag. This little Krieger pouch that we use to carry everything together. It's basically a random collection of small spares that we've needed in the past, and every time we need one, I add one to the bag the next ride to make sure that we don't need it again. And as luck would have it, it seems that if it's in the bag, we never need it again. So that's just Murphy's Law and how it goes. A little bit of lock wire that can get you out of trouble for out of many situations. We've got these hose clips. This is actually a single hose clip. It's extremely long. It's 700 mil long. You buy this from Halfords, stainless steel. It's one hose clip to be all hose clips. I mean, you can fit this around pretty much anything. You can use it and make it small. You can use it for whatever large job you need it to do. Over on the right hand side, we've got some really large 10 mil cable ties, and then a regular collection of other cable ties. And at the same time, for the TPI bikes, we've got the Enduro Pro siphoning hose. All of the fuel injected bikes, 2-stroke and 4-stroke. I've got a fuel pump in the tank, so it's not easy to get fuel from one bike to another bike in case somebody runs out of fuel. This little gubbin allows you to drop that into the fuel, shake it up and down, and it starts sucking fuel up this tube, and it's very easy to get fuel from your bike onto another bike if one of your buddies have got a fuel problem. Okay, all the tools you see in front of you now fits inside this little Ross wheel cheap bicycle frame bag. This was bought from a normal bicycle store. It's a fairly strong case. We've cut the external straps off it just to make it a bit more smoother. This is typically all of the tools that we will fit in this bag, and in this bag will actually go into the airbox of the bike. There's a nice little space by the airbox. I'll show you. It's on there, it's off your back. There's very good reason to take weight off your back, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I'll put all the tools back in, and then I'll show you guys where I fit it on the bike. There you go. All of the tools is now back in this little bag. It's a tight fit, not gonna lie. Zips up. and you can squeeze it flat. You can even put a little bit of electrical tape around this to keep it nice and neat. If I show you now where we fit it on the bike, you'll have a good idea. This is a little air filter disc that my son Jake has designed. He prints them out on his 3D printer. He did a school project. The reason that we came up with this idea is because the KTM air filter cage has got quite a sharp tip on it. You can see inside the air filter there's already an indentation inside the air filter from the pressure created by the air filter cage. This little disc slips on top of the cage, and it sits on there nice and firmly, and so it provides a sort of a wider area contact patch for your air filter when it goes on there. And the main reason why we do this is because we often, when we race, run tools inside our airbox, and you've got things potentially rubbing inside, and the last thing you need is a hole in your air filter and crap getting into your engine. And so a worthwhile little thing to get, definitely protects the air filter significantly more than the cage on its own. So we're talking a lot about tools today. I just want to give a special shout out to one of our friends. Every now and then a friend comes along that has very questionable ethics around bike maintenance. And you know, when you're out on group rides and stuff, you want to make sure that everybody gets to the end of the day. So there are some friends like Lee Zabo, for example, don't bother taking spares and parts and things to fix his bike. It might sometimes just be better to bring a whole spare bike along. That at least means that everybody will get to the end of it all, you know. So you can see here next to the air filter that there's a bit of a hollow. It's a very tight fit, and it will prevent a tiny bit of airflow to the air filter. But we've raced like this many races everywhere, even at altitude. Never had a performance problem with the bike. As I showed you earlier on, it is important to fit a little air filter disc to protect your air filter. There's a sharp point underneath there on the standard air filter cage. You want to make sure that nothing goes through your air filter. And so if you squeeze your little baggie flat, you work from the top, you push it down into that hollow, you'll see that it slides nicely into that little area there, and your cap goes on. To keep cable ties on your bike itself is to just cable tie them straight to your fork leg. Easy place to store them, easy place to get access to them when you need them. This is a pretty special combination of tools that we knew we needed after something happened to Robin, one of our riders, at the Roof of Africa. He was going over a rock pushed his chain off, and the chain ended up wrapping around the front sprocket. It gets sucked into this little space here, and for anybody that's ever experienced that, it is an unbelievable problem, because no amount of force can get the chain out of there. Really, the only way that you can address that problem is to remove the swing arm, which is exactly what Robin did. He managed to flag down another rider who had a 19mm socket. You need a 19mm socket to undo the swing arm, and so that's what he did. Motion Pro makes a 27mm adapter. Your 19mm socket fits on top, and then that fits inside your KTM tool. And it's just a really nice, really clean system to use in case you need to remove the swing arm bolt because of a chain that's wrapped around the front sprocket. Motion Pro makes a really lightweight chain fitting tool, chain link removal and fitting tool. They're about 65, 70 quid. It's a bit of money, but it's very lightweight. You can carry this in your backpack with you out on the races if ever you do have a chain problem. As I've said before, some people, for reliability reasons, they prefer to fit a rivet link. This is pretty much a brand new bike, and most new bikes come with split link systems. And the reality is the vast majority of riders out on the trail still have split link systems fitted to their bikes. So this is definitely a worthwhile tool to have. What you get in the pouch is effectively a chain tool, that folds up. This can come apart. You can put that back on. This is a pin that can push out the rivet links. I've modified a little 14mm spanner to be able to do this. I didn't initially know that it required a 14 spanner until I absolutely needed it. And then it comes with fitting plates, and you have blue ones and you have silver ones. The silver ones is to remove a link, and the blue ones is to put a link back on, to squeeze the link plates together to give you enough space to get the rivet link on. And so what I also do is I carry two split links, one for a regular KTM chain and one for a gold chain, just in case they need it. My son runs the gold chain, I've got the regular chain, which is why we have two different ones. A lot of people say a chain never breaks. Trust me, we've seen it on multiple occasions. It's not that the chain breaks, it's that the split link wears down and eventually pops off, and eventually the pressure plate works its way loose, and the rider just doesn't even know it. The next minute you not only have a chain that's off, but you have your chain wrapped around your front sprocket. It's a world of problems, all from a silly little split link, and therefore makes a lot of sense to fit the rivet links, but not everybody wants to go through that hassle of having to cut the chain when they need to remove the chain for whatever reason. Okay, let's look and see what we have inside our little our bacon bag. So it's a Krieger pouch. It's stocked full of stuff. And the very top here we have an emergency space blanket, inside a little bit of lock wire, and inside the pouch some headache tablets and a collection of spare fuses in various 10, 5, 15 amperages. Okay, we happen to have a spare TPI 2020 fuel 90-degree connector. This is the plastic version. They break very easily, so we replaced the one on our bike to a 2019 aluminium version, and we kept the plastic one in case one of our friends needed on the trail. A collection of random spare tubing, fuel tubing, etc. You never know where you may need some fuel tubing. Two-stroke oil. This is actually, if you go to Holland & Barrett and you buy concentrated beetroot juice, they come in these 70 milliliter bottles. They're really strong plastic bottles. They're fantastic for holding 70 ml, and you know that'll do 5 liters at whatever ratio it is that you might be mixing. A little bit of liquid metal. This stuff is magic. You put a hole in any of your casings, you can usually fix it with this stuff. We've had to do that. I happen to run the Nahilo throttle housing, and so this one came off my bike. This one is spare. It weighs nothing. It's made of magnesium. I had it as a spare, so I stuck it in a bag in case one of my friends might need it on the trail. An extra side stand rubber, very useful. An exhaust O-ring, a bladder mouthpiece. We have on occasion had one pulled off the end of our bladders because it gets stuck in a tree or something and it gets yanked away. We have a little bit of lock wire here with a bunch of penny washers. Very useful. You can use penny washers for pretty much anything. A big lighter, a little bit of electrical tape, various hose clamps for your bike. In case somebody breaks a clutch perch or a brake perch, at least you can fit this one over the broken end and it gives you some purchase onto the handlebar, so it's useful to have in your bag. A number of split pins. They're very good for foot pegs and other things. We have a shaped fuel 90-degree hose. These are a bit awkward in how they've been shaped, and they're very cheap to carry, so in case your bike falls over and that hose splits, it's a useful addition to your tool bag. We've got a head torch in case you get stuck out in the dark, with some spare batteries. Spare brake tip These do tend to break, believe it or not. They seem strong, but we've broken 2 already. Some more penny washers, some brake pad retention pins, front and back. There's 2 sets here. I ride with my son, you never know how many you might need. Some more exhaust O-rings, spare spark plug. This is actually a very useful little thing in case you fall over and you hurt your wrist. This sort of gives you a little bit of wrist protection, and it's very small and it's easy to carry. So it's just something that you can have with you to get some spare gloves. And then a 7mm T-bar. Funny enough, it seems the only place anywhere on the world anybody needs a 7mm spanner is to do hose clips, and so we just chucked one in there because it's easy to do the hose clips. And then last, just a blade with some tape over it so that it doesn't cut the bag. Okay, what you can see in front of you are 3 examples of much smaller, much lighter toolkits. These are really a bare bones, down to the very basics. If we do closed course racing like Hare and Hounds or Time Card, we might pick one of these just so that we have something with us in the worst kind of emergencies, but we fully expect to potentially be able to get back to the car or the pits to be able to get access to a broader range of spares and tools. And so this backhoe kit is available on eBay. It contains a little ratchet spanner with you know, a collection of sockets and some other bits. Doesn't weigh a lot, doesn't cost a lot. You can just chuck that somewhere in your backpack or cable tie to your bike. It's all good. Motion Pro makes this one. It's a small little pouch. You can see it fits in my hand, and it contains a collection of various size sockets, Phillips flat screwdrivers. You can actually take that bit out and connect it as a T-piece into this bit, so you have a T-piece spanner. You've got your 12, your 13 and everything else in there, and the 8 is part of that spanner, etc. So another little useful one. Again, all Motion Pro stuff is really high quality, but they do carry a bit of a premium price point. And then this is just one I made up myself. I think this plastic case was, there used to be staples for my staple gun fitted in this, and it pulls apart, and I have a little ratchet spanner in there, and I have various other bits and bobs in there. And if I want to use not the ratchet, but I want to use a T connector, then I can connect that onto there and that onto there, and you can see that. And it's really small, really lightweight, contains my 6, my 8, my 10, my 12, and so forth, and also a 7. So yeah, this is for racing, where you want to move light and you want to move fast. Just a couple of other examples of potential choices. You've got some lightweight shears. They don't weigh a lot, but they get you out of trouble if you need to cut someone's clothes off them in an accident, or you need to remove a strap, or you get stuck in some orange track marker tape. That might be a quick way of getting you out of trouble. This is a different form of chain compression tool, chain link compression tool. Motion Pro makes these. You can buy them on eBay. They work equally well. This is a Motion Pro T-bar. It's not very big. You can see it, and it comes with an 8, a 10, a 12 and a 13. I've just used a little bit of lock wire to keep the whole lot together. And this is just really an example of a cable clip I had. I needed it on the side of the trail. At that time I was never carrying Allen keys with it, and it turns out this one needed an Allen key to work, and so it's just a good example of making sure that you've got the right tools to use the spares that you've got with you. Last but not least, your trail backpack. We use Krieger packs, phenomenal pieces of kit. I've just replaced it with this one, but I've used the same pack since 2013, my first Romaniacs, and I've used it hundreds of times every year. They are just fantastic, really good things. The main point is you want to keep your backpack as light as possible. We'll show you why in a minute. But what me and my son do is we attach a whistle to the chest strap of the backpack, just in case you have a crash, you're trapped under your bike, or you're trapped in a weird way, at least you can attract attention using the whistle, and it's a bit better than trying to shout when you're injured. So that's something to look at. One very important tip when doing big rides, especially multiple hours races, multi-day races, is try and keep your backpack as light as possible. We see a lot of guys racing multi-day races with full belt kits, huge amount of tools and weight on their backs. Imagine this: every single time you're riding your bike and you're standing up off the pegs and sitting down, and standing up off the pegs and sitting down, you're effectively lifting that weight. And over 4 days, lifting a kilo twice a minute, 6 hours a day, you're pretty much lifting half an elephant. It is a crazy amount of weight that people don't think about, and so it's very, very important. Keep as much weight off your back, put it on the bike if you can.
It also allows you to stay agile on the bike and move around, make sure you get on the back and get right over the front.
Yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit subscribe. We'll be producing a few more videos as we have some new ideas. If you've got any questions, if there's any videos you'd like to see, by all means suggest them. Equally, like we said in the beginning, if you've got any clever tools or spares ideas, where to put them on the bike, what sort of stuff to carry, by all means share it down in the comments. We love to learn new things as well, so thanks for watching.